Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of In Range. We're actually going to launch a new little series, I guess. You know, we have like Old West vignettes and we have mud tests. I mean, these are series of videos, and some of the Q&A we got some really positive commentary on some specific questions that deal with things that are, I don't want to say current events, but cultural.
Right.
And commentary on just different topics.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't always get, and our Q&A are always excellent. The questions are usually very good, but sometimes there's ones that you and I just want to talk about.
Right.
So we're going to start something, we're going to call it Culture, Commentary, and Rants.
The occasional rant.
CCR. And that's okay. We think that a rant once in a while is good. And you and I were talking about it, and I think, hopefully not tooting the horn too much, that we bring a somewhat unique perspective to the firearms community.
It seems like it. I think we have a perspective that a lot of people appreciate and that doesn't necessarily get heard in a lot of other places.
Yeah, I don't want to say that as though we're special. I'm not saying that at all. When I look around and look at the kind of commentary that's out there, and I certainly don't see it all because I don't spend my day watching videos. I can't. But I don't see I don't see a lot of what we say sometimes being parroted in other places. Not parroting us, but just that mindset I don't see demonstrated very heavily.
Okay.
So
I would agree.
That's fine. Maybe there is, and if there are, let us know. But so why not put it out there?
Yeah.
So on this topic, you and I do a lot of historical shooting, and you've got this fantastic outfit from Mike Birch. We're going to get to that in a minute.
Yep.
But we talked about this, and I did a whole video on this, where instead of we get called farbs or whatever for not wearing a proper historical kit, the exactly right stuff, and I try to approximate it. We're trying to learn what it's like to use the gear and equipment and rifles, but maybe not spend $1,000 per impression to do it.
Right.
And when you look at this reproduction gear, some of it is very high quality, but the higher quality it gets, the more expensive it gets.
Yep.
And even the low quality stuff is really expensive.
It can be sometimes.
And if you're going to put up a Japanese guy, or you're going to do the German guy, or early war versus late war versus World War II versus Luftwaffe versus whatever, or the French guy or the rear line troop versus the front line troop, the money
piles up fast.
First of all, you got a stack of it in your house, and then the money just flows out like a pig stuck with a knife. I mean, you just arterial spray of money into the reproduction gear world, and then you use it in one match, and it rips open or tears or whatever. So we approximate,
which is still better than using original gear, having something that's 70 or 105 years old, using it in one match and having it break because it's 100 years old.
And I learned that very specifically with a PO8 World War I holster.
Yeah.
One of the little loops that go on your belt tore off. Now, it's repairable, and it will be, but it's an original holster that tore off. Right. So why don't I buy a reproduction holster, and if it's going to tear off, well...
Oh, well.
It was a reproduction.
At least it's not a proper, authentic one.
So Mike Birch decided that he was going to fix this problem, and a lot of the reproduction gear is made, even if it's expensive, isn't made that right.
No, it's made in Pakistan or China. It's made by the lowest common denominator, and it's not of particularly high quality often. It looks the part. In fact, something like this, Japanese Imperial Army hat, this looks great on video. This does the job on video, but it's not very well made. It was fairly cheap.
This isn't even leather. What is this stuff?
I don't know. That's some sort of fake synthetic.
It's like pressed off. At the end of World War II, the Germans ran out of leather, and they made fake leather out of cardboard. This isn't that, but it feels like that. It's like if you got it wet, it would come apart.
Yeah, this may have been, hide from an authentic Naga.
The stars, like,
it's not...
Kind of looks like a little kid's project.
Yeah, exactly.
The stars kind of, and if you look at the stitching, it's like, that's not straight.
So if I'm far enough away from you on camera, this looks awesome. But if I'm trying to, say if I'm a reenactor actually trying to use the thing, first off, it looks kind of meh when you're up close. And I honestly, I don't know how well that's going to survive, actually.
I mean, there's already stitching on it. Right out of the box looks a little iffy.
Yeah.
Now, you didn't pay a horrible amount for that particular piece, but if you wanted a better one that was going to last you longer, the amount goes up a lot.
Well, here's the problem. If I want a better one of these, I'm SOL. There is no better one.
Oh, really?
No, and here's the problem, because there are a lot of people who think this stuff is cool, but they're not actually willing to pay for it. And as a result, you get a market that is pretty good at supplying a very cheap, low-end version of a product, and usually pretty poor at supplying a high-quality version of that product. This is a cool exception because, and there are a couple areas where if there's really enough interest, someone can actually justify making something well and properly, and charging what that actually costs, which is going to be probably a couple $100 for a piece of uniform gear like this.
And I would say you see that most commonly. Like, it depends on the amount of interest. Like, By the way,
which
if you
means
have,
Germans.
exactly. If you have an interest, or you have a company that you get your reproduction gear from, and you like the gear, we're not saying that everybody makes junk.
No.
I'm not saying that. There is good stuff out there. The stuff that's accessible for us to do video after video and different impressions is very expensive.
Right.
And so, but it turns into this volume of manufacture thing to get the cost down and still have quality be reasonable, which turns into, not Germans, World War II German.
Oh, yeah.
World War One German is extraordinarily expensive for high quality stuff.
Yep.
World War II German is cheaper, still expensive, but cheaper, because there's so much interest in it. Get into French.
There is none.
Try, it's hard.
Yeah.
Russian's really hard.
Yeah, there pretty much is none.
British, there's some. American, there's a good bit. And German, there's a lot. But, so, this wonderful uniform from Mike Birch.
So, yeah, Mike's Militaria he started trying to make some of the pieces of gear that weren't well represented elsewhere in the market. This is a U.S. World War I uniform, which is something you can't really get elsewhere. This particular one is an Army uniform, 1917 pattern he made on 1912 as well. He also made a U.S. Marine Corps uniform. And what I found really cool was the next thing he started making was a World War I, 1915 French uniform. The horizon blue, you can't find it anywhere.
Right up your alley.
There's no way to get it, and I thought that was super cool. I've got a bunch of French gear.
Francophile.
Possibly.
Yes.
And so I've got one of those coming from him. And what happens? Unfortunately, he's decided to throw in the towel on the whole thing. The problem is there aren't enough people who are actually interested in having good quality gear to support a business making it. If it's anything other than World War II German, kind of.
Yeah, I think that's it. So they espouse an interest. And
Right.
we're not pointing any fingers here. It's just the nature of the industry.
Right.
An interest is espoused. They want this. This turns out to be fantastic. In fact, it's kind of too nice. It fits perfectly.
Right. One of the comments I got was, that's not authentic. It should either be a size too big or two sizes too small.
And since it actually fits perfectly, it's almost too nice.
Right.
But
And it fits perfectly because it's custom made. He took like 15 different measurements in order to fit a uniform.
however, it's expensive.
Right.
But it's expensive because it's quality.
Right.
Now, when you get to that price point, suddenly the people that expressed an interest kind of vanish.
Yeah, you get a lot of, hey, I'm thinking about making a blank, and you get this cool chorus of, oh, that's awesome, I'd love to have one of those, that's great, how soon can I have these 12 different versions of it as well? And then you put in the money to actually source the material and get the design work done, and you're ready, and you have one for sale, and you go, all right, guys, here it is, and everyone kind of disappears.
Same thing with the idea of reproduction firearms.
Oftentimes, yes.
We want a reproduction FG42. And like SMG Guns comes out with one that's fantastic.
Yep.
And it's $5,000.
Because it's what it has to be to
Honestly,
make it right.
the fact that he makes it for that price is, believe it or not, reasonable.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult thing to make. So
Yeah.
when you see that and people go, oh, that should be $1,000. Well, it ain't gonna happen. And if it is $1,000, it probably ain't gonna work.
Right.
So-
You can't buy a non-functioning dummy FG42 from Shoei for less than, what, $1,500 or
I have no idea,
$1,800?
but yeah, exactly. So Mike makes this great stuff, and so you're saying he's giving up.
Unfortunately, yeah. I heard it through him not too long ago. So part of this video is just a commentary on, unfortunately, we have this dichotomy between a lot of people willing to buy the stuff that's not very good and not that many people interested in the good stuff. And I think the really unfortunate part are people who don't really think about it when they are trying to promote something being made. People who would claim to be interested and claim to be willing to actually pay high prices or high quality prices for high quality goods, and then disappear when a vendor has gone through all the work to actually provide that material.
So this goes into, so we said this is going to be culture, commentary, and rant.
Yep.
The rant part.
That's a bit of it.
I bet this is American made.
Oh, this is absolutely American made. Yeah.
It's expensive. When you hear this, I want to buy American made, and I agree. I prefer to buy American made. I'm an American.
Yep.
I want to support my country. I get that. But guess what? American made means American salaries, American wages,
Yep.
American everything, which means American prices.
Yep.
And so this American made one, which is fantastic, the Chinese equivalent, no offense to any of our Chinese viewers, Chinese equivalent isn't going to be this.
No.
It's going to be something more like that.
Yep.
And it's going to be cheaper.
It'll look decent from a distance, and when you actually start to use it, it'll probably fall apart.
But that's the price that you pay for American made.
I do want to point out, interestingly, my mother actually is a professional fashion designer and has been her entire adult life, making custom clothing, custom costumes, and I showed this outfit to her the last time she was visiting, and her take was she was really quite impressed and said there's no way that she could make it for what Mike is charging for them.
So in other words, Mike is charging a bargain for the quality.
He really is charging a very fair price. Now, the good half of this, I don't want to be all negative, is if there's anybody out there who has been on the fence, or it's very easy to look at a product that's available and say, well, I'd like to have that, but you know what, I don't want to put out $300 or $400 right now, so I'll wait until I just have spare money that I don't know what to do with.
But literally, don't wait, act now.
Right. The problem is that never really happens, and you end up never getting something. And believe me, I've been there. Ammo is a great example of this. You look at when you used to be able to get surplus 308 for 20 cents a round in battle packs, and I was right there. I'm like, sure, I'd love to have another 2,000 rounds of that, but now. And then you look up the next time, and it's gone, and now you're paying 60 cents a round for surplus 308.
So this situation exists right now with Mike's.
Right. So he has a bunch of the material. The wool that was used to make these is all specifically sourced to be the right type, to be the right color, for all the different types of uniform. Each one has its own specific color to be correct. Well, he's got a bunch of that material that he pre-ordered. And so he's going to keep making uniforms until the material's gone, and then that's it.
So you can get it now.
You can get it now, but literally now. So if you want one, don't wait. I am really happy that I actually got one of those French uniforms while it was available for the few months, I suppose, that it was an option, because I think once Mike's run out of material, I don't know that anybody's ever going to start doing that again.
So a call to action, if you're interested in some extremely high quality reproduction gear, go to Mike's Militaria now.
Yep.
This is not a beseechment of any of the reproduction companies. There are companies out there that make very nice gear. There are.
Right.
But the point is that for nice gear, you pay nice prices.
Yep.
And so act now. He tried. He wanted to do it right. He did do it right.
He totally did it right.
And so, unfortunately, the market doesn't bear it.
Yeah.
So that's the rant.
Yep. I don't know if we have anything else to go.
I don't have anything else to say to that. All there is to literally act now. Pick up something from Mike if you're interested. Thanks for watching. Yeah, if you're interested, if you like this kind of content and you're interested in more of our commentary and culture and rants, please consider supporting us on Patreon. It really is the fuel that makes this jet go.
And we're the exception, because you get awesome high quality content for $1 a month.
Oh,
Just saying.
Well, actually, it's free.
Well, it's free, but you can help support it.
Yeah, which
$1 a month.
Which is great, and that gets you into an essentially a quarterly giveaway.
Yep.
Which is awesome as well. In fact, there's a video going up pretty soon around this one about that. If you can't support us on Patreon, we totally understand. Not everyone can.
Yep.
Please just subscribe to both our channels on Full 30 and YouTube, as well as our Facebook page, and share with your friends.